Do you want to tell, or I can tell the story a bit about the Abel and Francis Gary Powers switch because you didn't watch the movie.
Sure.
Do you want
Yeah,
me to talk about that? Because I just think that's a really interesting little story. So yeah, this movie's got like Tom Hanks is called The Bridge of Spies, and I'm not sure how direct the movie is to real life, but it is obviously like a real story. These were real guys, but basically this civil lawyer, and he does like family law or whatever, and he hasn't practiced criminal law in like a long time or whatever.
Yeah.
He gets recruited basically because I guess he's good at his job to defend this Soviet spy that the government, the American government has found. And then obviously they're like, yeah, you're guilty, but they don't kill him. They keep him alive. And everybody in the country is against this lawyer because the lawyer said, you know, it's a right to have a fair trial. We shouldn't just unfairly give him the death penalty because they didn't have, you know, he didn't do enough wrong to deserve the death penalty by American law.
Yeah.
But everybody in the country wanted him dead. He's a Soviet spy. We can't be having this. So basically what happens is he stays alive, and it actually helps the government because when Francis Gary Powers goes down from this B-20
U-2
not
spy
B-20, U-2 aerial drone, he's like taking pictures of like Soviet soil, and he goes down, and they're like, the Soviets give him a fair trial. They give him like 10 years in prison or something like that, and which is like half, like a third of what they sent Abel to do. But they end up saying, "Oh, why don't we trade our spies?"
Okay.
So
that's
hopefully
cool.
your guy hasn't given up his secrets. Hopefully our guy hasn't given up your secrets. We'll do a trade before, as quick as we can, so they
before
don't break.
Give up secrets.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
So this lawyer, you know, this random guy, basically not random guy. He's good at his job, great at his job, and you can see that through the movie. They ship him to Berlin to basically, in the middle of Germany to. Like debate pretty much like to finalize the trade, and it ends up being like they actually have two guys they want to rescue from the Soviet Union. They have another liability, another variable basically, so he ends up trying to bring home both of them, and obviously the Soviet government doesn't want that, so it's a whole thing. So he goes to negotiate pretty much. So he's it's in the 1960s. He's like flying this reconnaissance plane. Goes down.
This is Powers.
This is
right?
Powers,
Okay.
So this is a, you know, he's a random Air Force guy, and his squadron basically gets called to do this like super secret stuff, and it's in the movie. Like they're like sitting in their like hotel room, like smoking a cigarette, playing cards, and their general comes in and says, "Hey, you got to never speak of this again. You got to leave your families, and we're gonna, you know, do some spying." And they're like, "Okay." And so he basically takes them and straps them to like this highest plane ever done. And the idea of the U-2 is obviously like, you fly 70,000 feet, nobody will know you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
You fly so high that they can't even shoot you down. He ends up getting shot down.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Rudolf Abel, on the other side in the U.S., his real name actually was William Fisher, so I found out online, which the movie didn't even say.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's
William Fisher, which is really not a...
doesn't sound like a very Russian name.
No, exactly.
Rudolf Abel sounds more
Russian, honestly, yeah, right? So I found that really interesting. And yeah, he was a Soviet intelligence officer in the United States, obviously during the 50s. And he was responsible for recruiting and handling American spies on behalf of the Soviet Union.
Okay, so he was like the head guy, or like...
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
And the movie portrays him as a really interesting character. So yeah, he was arrested by the FBI in charge of espionage, all that. He gets captured, and he's like, "Oh, no, I didn't do it." He didn't even say he didn't do it. He just never
said he
acknowledged
did do
it.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. In the movie, at least. So they do this like swap, and it's a really tense time in East and West Berlin. So really good movie. Highly recommend watching it. You should definitely watch it.
Yeah.
Super cool. It really underscores like the high stakes, even in the beginning of what we would call the Cold War, pre-Cold War, really. There's still such high tensions, and this is just after the Berlin blockade goes up.
Okay.
So like less than a month after. So really pretty early.
Okay.